What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat Stand-Up here on this gorgeous Thursday, March 9th, 2023. As always, I am your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Dallas, Texas, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, EnergyNewsbeat.com, Stuart Turley. My man, how are you doing today?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'll tell you what. Hey, I just wanted to let you know I sent Paras, our good buddy, when we originally started the show, a note that I was just thinking of him. So I just wanted to give old Paras a shout out. It's nice having a long-term listener.
Yeah, no kidding. We have our audience is ballooned from 1 to 3, so we appreciate him sticking around from the beginning. We have a great show for everybody lined up today. Stu's got some great stories to cover. First, we've got Pioneer CEO Scott Sheffield says oil could reach $100 a barrel by Q4. Interesting. We will cover all what he said in his comments. Next up, Ukraine denies involvement in Nord Stream pipeline blasts. I think they're the last country I think would have done this, but Stu will break down a pretty funny comment that he found actually in this one. Next up, American suppression of fossil fuels courts a national security disaster. This is an opinion piece that Stu will dive into that I think has some really great points, specifically around national security and energy policy. Next, Ingenuity power systems, quote, clean power with natural gas, propane, and hydrogen. So this is a very interesting company called Ingenuity Power Systems. They have a really very clean way of producing specifically natural gas, which is already clean. So Stu will dive in to what they're doing on the energy tech front. Next, small modular nuclear reactors may become the go-to energy source. So if you're feeling a little frisky, we've got some nukes coming up in the show. So you have to stay tuned to that one. And the final article Stu's got for us is, despite gas prices slump, EOG full steam ahead in emerging plays. EOG is kind of one of those super independents that are really are heavily invested all around the United States. So it'll be interesting to see as Stu explains what is happening in EOG's schedule. He'll kick it over to me. I'll cover slumping oil and gas prices. Again, the fallout from Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments yesterday or 2 days ago, as you listen to this, has affect oil trading $76.59, natural gas $2.60. I will cover all what that means and a bag of chips for the markets, guys. But first, check us out online, www.energynewsbeat.com. Hit the link in the descriptions below. All of the articles we're about to cover are from that website. Too does a great job of curating that. Check us out, dashboard.energynewsbeat.com. Our attempt to combine data and news, specifically some of the specific EIA data that we cover on the show. But we are hard at work at V2 hard at work on V2, attempting to roll out new features to you, the loyal listener. So we appreciate you guys. EnergyNewsbeat.com, dashboard.energynewsbeat.com. I'm out of breath, though, Stu. Where would you like to begin?
Oh, I'll tell you what. Let's start with our buddy, Pioneer CEO Scott Sheffield. There was a video that was supposed to be on this article, and he is, I just really enjoy his attitude and everything else. But the gist of this article is, in his interview over there at Sierra Week, he in Houston, he's claiming it's going to be another $100 a barrel by Q4. What do you think about Scott Sheffield and his track record in the past?
Well, I mean, his track record of predicting oil prices, I don't know. This is one of the first times he's really come out and taken a stand. His track record as a CEO is impeccable. So it's hard to, but does that have anything to do with his ability to, in my opinion, does that mean he can now forecast and foresee oil prices? No. Doesn't mean I don't think he's a great CEO. Doesn't mean I don't think Pioneer is probably, as we talk about those super independents when we get to EOG, isn't part of that group. They're a $40 billion company. He's doing something right,
So when he speaks, I listen. So
yeah, I consider I have my area of expertise, but you wouldn't call me up and be like, Michael, I have an issue on my car. Can you help me? I'd be like, I don't even change my own oil.
No, we know that. You can barely
so I guess
turn it
all
on
I'm saying is what are his qualifications? I mean, sure, he's the CEO of Pioneer Natural Resources. I think he wants oil prices to be $100. I think what he's specifically talking about is things he sees in the Permian, which, yes, things in the Permian are tight, but that doesn't just mean that those same problems apply elsewhere in the United States. You don't have necessarily the infrastructure problem that West Texas is dealing with. You have multiple other issues that you deal with, and a lot of it isn't necessarily focused. Again, the growth is going to come from Gulf of Mexico, if anything. That's why I think this Department of Interior mandated sale through the Porculus bill is going to be interesting to see if anybody swoops it up, because that's one of that outside of the Permian has the most potential to increase our actual depend. And then what he's saying won't happen. So what Scott Sheffield basically saying is he's forecasting our supply to fall faster than demand will. Well, he's probably drilling a lot of wells that aren't coming online too hot. If there's anyone, you know what I mean? Like, he's probably seeing those decline curves.
No, but we have used up all our ducks, so it doesn't hurt if we do drill a few ducks and leave them there just in case. All right. Hey, let's come around the corner.
I know
here.
a couple.
Yeah, hey, as we're sitting here, you know, we had that random guy on Substack that created the one rumor going around there that the US, that Biden admitted that he said that he blew up the Nord Stream, that he'd take it out. Then we had another one. The Defense Department and Biden's group this week announced that Ukraine blew it up. This is a response, not by some guy, random guy on Substack. This article is a hoot. It says Ukraine has denied any involvement in September's attack on the Nord Stream pipeline, which were built to carry Russian natural gas to Germany. I just love some of these quotes in here. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov reported a coordinated fake news media campaign and told the state agency whose attack the pipeline clearly wanted to divert attention. And let me come down here. And they say they have no Navy, they have no divers, they have no ability to do it. And so even the Russians are going, hey, this is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one scenario in which the random dude on Substack was wrong, which is, you know.
Yeah, this guy right here saying Ukraine did it. It was the Defense Department, the U.S. Defense Department saying Ukraine did it. So anyway, I just got really.
It was tickled. Hillary Clinton with the candlestick.
Ooh, I hope Tucker has some good security. Okay, let's go to the next one here. That was funny.
That was a good one. I'll give you that.
Tucker Carlson, get security now. Okay. Hey, American suppression of fossil fuels courts national disaster. This article, Michael, has a lot in here. And when you consider that the Biden administration policies are really pulling a Thelma and Louise, if you want to look at the U.S. energy policy as the end of the Thelma and Louise movie, as they're scooting off into the Grand Canyon, it's going to be a whole kind of thing. Sadly, the U.S. is killing fuel transport pipelines, curtailing permitting of refineries and natural gas exports, suppressing oil and gas leasing, and worst of all, stifling long-term investments in the industry. Question, there's in the article, I'm reading from the article, Michael, how can the ruling class in a few wealthy countries of Germany, Australia, UK, Canada, and America believe that all the infrastructures and products manufactured from crude oil, such as medical, electronics, communications, and many transportation infrastructures, such as airlines, merchant ships, automobiles, trucks, military, and the space programs, are not needed by future generations? Look at this. In this list, it just really carries it on, Michael. tires for billions of vehicles, asphalt for all the roads, space program, water filtration systems, sanitation systems, all revolves around fossil fuels. So next time you flush that toilet, it's going to have some fossil fuels to get it moved around. All right.
I just don't know how people don't like inherently sort of like, I guess because I work in oil and gas, I get it. I'm around it. But like, how do people not realize that they bash oil and gas on an iPhone that was made by fossil fuels and slaves? I mean, it's just, I don't know how people don't see the irony in that.
Right. Hello, McFly.
Hello, is anybody in there, McFly?
I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one here, dude. I love that movie, by the way. Here's Michael. Energy tech is how we're going to get out of this problem. And I love this article. The article's titled Ingenuity Power Systems, Clean Power with Natural Gas, Propane, and Hydrogen. And there's a couple things in here. And the reason I really wanted to bring this article up to you here is it's a Alexandria, Virginia-based Ingenuity Power Systems developed appliances with hybrid generators. I love this. I got me one that works on natural gas, propane, or gas, and I absolutely love it. So when they're looking at this, there's so many houses around the U.S. that could use a extra generator like this. Generac is one of the best ones out there, but this one, and if they ever get hydrogen fixed, Michael, I think that that's going to be very important as well too. Hydrogen, I think, is still a few years away. It's too costly, but I love the technology.
Definitely too costly. I love the technology. I mean, this is how technology evolves. You have small incremental steps. Is Ingenuity Power Systems like the next greatest thing since sliced bread? It's a step in the right direction.
Right.
But it's not maybe the full scale deployment that everybody hopes for, but it could be. Again, it's an incremental step. They're looking at it the right way. I always come back to natural gas is now being pivoted as clean.
Oh,
you called it out.
Yep.
And you were right. And I just love it because you're seeing it firsthand in these articles. I mean, they're talking positively about how clean natural gas is.
Isn't that great? But like Deborah Wald, I know you're tired of me hearing talk about Green Lily Energy, and I know you're just gonna like hit me up. But Deborah Wald's Green Lily Energy is how we got to do it, and that is to build bio diesel, bio, gasoline or anything else. We got to use our trash and our methane from the sewage plants or anything else, and use that to get us RN natural gas, renewable natural gas. All right, let's go to the next one, dude. Small modular nukes. Love me some small modular nukes. Small, not modular nuclear reactors may be the go-to energy source. And Michael, this article is really important from the standpoint that by the time you get a real big reactor, it's 20 years to get approved. The smaller ones are coming around the corner, and they're going to be able to be made in a production line. And that way you're able to use these and drop them off. Simply must have some form of base load. I'm reading from Jeff Merrifield. You simply must have some form of reliable base load power because you can't get there with these assets that operate part of the time, like wind or solar, says Jeff Merrifield, partner at Pillsbury, Winthrop, Shaw, and Pittman, a former nuclear regulatory commissioner. Nuclear power plant is more costly up front, but it has assets that operate for over 80 years. If you compare it to wind and solar, they generally have a 20-year lifetime, and batteries for about 8. And I think if you divide that number by 2, you're actually closer to right. They generally have a 10-year and 4 years, but we'll leave that alone. Anyway, this goes with that other article of energy security. We need small nuclear for baseline. Anyway, your
No, I
thoughts?
mean, nuclear is in theory and probably on paper, even though you could argue, is probably the best for baseload energy supply, which is critical to sustaining growth in a emerging market or keeping the quality of life wherever you live.
Right.
Now, am I in favor of just trying to make modular nukes and everyone's walking around with Fat Boy and Little John in their trunk? I mean, I don't know if that's quite the conversation I'm willing to have yet. I mean, can you imagine you you pull out your laptop and there's just a little nuke in there because it's powering your laptop? I mean,
all right, now you're watching too many Marvel things when you got Iron Man rolling around with a nuke.
Exactly. But that's what everybody jumps to. That's my point. Everybody jumps to modular nukes. What? They're going to be in my car?
No, modular nukes at this particular point are going to be the size of a semi, or they're going to be the size of 2 or 3 semis. It's going to be the same size that powers ships.
It still creeps me out, but I see what you're saying. What's next?
All right, let's go on down around the corner. Now that you're totally creeped out, I've made my day. Hydrogen fuel gas turbine could lead to lower carbon intensity. Okay, this is where I'm going to go. All right, that's gonna be a kind of a nice one, Michael. At a certain hydrogen can be used in natural gas pipelines. The problem with hydrogen is it's a lot lighter and smaller, so it will leak easier. I don't know. I love this idea, but I don't know that technology is here yet in order to do this. But Chevron is trying. What's not in this article is Chevron's trying to go down the ESG road now, like Oxy. Oxy was the number one we talked about yesterday, number one on the S&P 500 because they went to CCUS, or carbon capture, storage, and utilization. This one is Chevron trying to work with hydrogen in natural gas in turbines. So they went, hey, wait a minute. Oxy's onto something here. Now, I like the way they're thinking. Hydrogen's not ready for mainstream yet.
Yeah, I mean, you would know more about hydrogen than I would. I do agree with you, though, from what you tell me, it's not ready. So I'll take your word for it. I do think it's very fascinating that Chevron is going this route because I think and I don't know if this was obviously they've made this decision, over the course of 2 years now, but they're going about this ESG movement, in my opinion, in the right way. The pivot is towards very analogous things that we can do with our own infrastructure and apply our economies of scale to actually be able to own this market versus, again, what BP has done, what Shell has done, what Equinor has done, Total Energies. We're going to become an offshore wind developer. Good luck with that. Have fun. And I don't know where this will go, whether hydrogen becomes big or not. This at least is more in line with what I see as, business units that can play off each other. You can apply shared knowledge between that and your oil and gas midstream sector.
Right. I did reach out to a CEO of a wind mast for tankers and shipping. I thought that was absolutely outstanding. I'm trying to get him on the podcast.
So we've got Pirates of the Caribbean now coming back.
Absolutely, baby. Hey, if Captain Jack Sparrow will save me some carbon, and deliver oil low cost, I'm in. All right, let's go to the next one here. Despite price slump, EOG full steam ahead in emerging plays. Michael, I'm going to let you Henry Hub gas prices average 3.27 MMBTU in January. I'll let you go from here.
Yeah, I think it's what this article is mainly talking about, so EOG is one of the largest, what we would call super independents. They're not an integrated midstream company, but their market cap is fairly incredible, up there with pioneers. And what this article mainly is talking about is EOG's drilling plans. It says their drilling plans, particularly in emerging plays in South Texas and the Utica Shale, are not being significantly impacted by the recent slump in natural gas prices, the company recently said. This is interesting because you'd expect gas plays like the Utica, like South Texas, like East Texas, places in which your primary product is natural gas. And, the Utica Shale, obviously we're talking about Appalachia, and all of that Pennsylvanian, very fat, natural gas fields. You would expect all of it to be winding down a little bit. What EOG is telling us is the exact opposite. They said that they have kept an eye on volatility in natural gas space since last year, according to their chairman and CEO, Ezra Yacob. But the company plans to continue development and infrastructure and build out emerging plays as it expands its drilling program in 2023. So what they're telling you is they don't care about prices. They may be willing to take a quote-unquote short-term loss in order to bring wells online to keep production steady. Because again, the calculus is different between a large company, a super large company, a super huge company. They like to tell you, and they'll tell you every single well they drill is economic, and they would never drill a well because it's uneconomic. But in reality, they do it all the time, because the dirty little secret is it sometimes just doesn't come down to economics. We like to say, and it makes for a great soundbite on the investor call, it all comes down to the economics. That could be the farthest thing from the truth. Stu's laughing because he knows it's right. The economics of a well are a part of the decision of whether or not we're going to go drill this well. It really is, and I'm even in favor of it, because sometimes you have to drill an uneconomic well to make a project economic. That people might not agree with me there, and we can have a longer discussion on that, but I have seen it time and time again in my career. Have been spent in field planning and development. There are times when an uneconomic well will help make a project economic. I will die on that hill. So to an extent, I agree with that assumption. But to think, so now in response to what they're doing, if every well you drill, if you've got 100 wells lined up and all of them are underwater because of the current strip price, then you're just gambling on natural gas prices. Then you're Scott Sheffield. Now we're just opining on what we think prices are going to do. And what's this guy,
I'm going to try to get him on the podcast.
I like it.
I disagree.
He's probably smart.
Oh, he is. He's smart. He's better looking than I am.
Yeah, he's more qualified than I am. So I'm just here talking. Absolutely.
I'll see if I can get him on the show.
Yeah, we'll ask him. We'll ask him what their strip price is. It's mainly, and it's not, and again, these guys aren't worried with strip price. They've got hedges in place. So they're worried about hedges. You got anything else, Stu, before I go crazy?
Oh, no, but I thoroughly enjoyed making you crazy today, dude. It was big fun.
It took a little bit. You had to wait till the last story, but I will die on that hill, and maybe that's a story for another show. I think we'll kick it over to finance. Couple things here. Oil trading down 76.58. If only because we're dealing from the fallout from Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments yesterday. Looks like we're going to see a 50 basis points increase in overall interest rates, which again will not do good for oil prices. It's going to bring that dollar down, which is very heavily tied to crude. We did see EIA drop their numbers today. We were expecting a 3.8 million barrel draw, only checked in at about 1.7 million barrel draw. Nothing from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Domestic production down 100,000 barrels, 12.2 million barrels, and then refinery utilization at 86%. All that courtesy of dashboard.energynewsbeat.com. Check it out. It's why we made this dashboard for times like this. Leave us a comment, questions at energynewsbeat.com. Tell us how cool or bad the application is. We are hard at work at V2, but when you look at all these numbers encompassing, Stu, it didn't do much on the bull side. Production dropped a little bit. That'd be a little bullish. We had a little bit of a draw from the strategic petroleum or from overall crude oil reserves. That should be both bullish items, and yet we fall today, if only because we're expecting interest rate increase. So it tells you what the sentiment of the market is tagging on. Today is a good day to note, it's not really supply and demand at this point. It is, but it's more so the upcoming Fed chair's decision. And probably going forward, you need to be putting more weight on that data point than you should on supply and demand. This is one of those, you just take notes. It's one of those days. If you're a fervent listener of the show and you hear us opine on prices every day, this is a note this. This is a learning moment. We just had a little class session here.
Right. Learning for them or for us?
Everybody. I should put this. If you were on Udemy, I'd charge $15 for this.
Okay.
It's not. You get it for free. So my Venmo, Tangenius. You can Venmo me. It's fine. It's a business expense. Trust me. Natural gas, $2.06. Again, it's 3 straight days of choppiness. The weather models haven't quite rolled over enough for us to say one way or the other. Obviously it's warmer than we expect. We are expecting tomorrow as well a storage drop from the EIA on natural gas. As always, Wednesdays crude oil, Thursdays is natural gas. Range of expectations is somewhere between 61 and 95 BCF draw. Last year we did about a 120 BCF draw. I mean, we've been on the low side and the high side. We've never really been in the middle. So if you had to pick one or the other, I'm going to go on the low side. I'm probably going to say it's more going to be 60 to 70 BCF. But we will see those numbers. They'll drop about 10 a.m. if you guys on Thursday. So if you guys are listening to this on Thursday, check it out and see whether I was right or wrong. Stu will laugh at me either way when we sign in for the next show. Again, outside of that, weather's going to be the driving force here. Nothing's really much. Outlook seems fairly warm again, unfortunately. Nothing really on the finance news side. I do think this EOG article is interesting because it highlights, I think, specifically the dilemma some of these companies are going through. Do you continue to drill through uneconomic wells if it's part of the overall field development plan? Again, field development and planning is a science that's not a science, but it's a job in and of itself. And you can't be short-sighted, but you can't be too far-sighted. There's that happy medium you got to live at. So I'm going to leave it there. Stu, you got anything else for us?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Greta Thunberg for finally taking up, and really going after the wind farms. She's now upset that the wind farms are disturbing the reindeers. And last time I checked, I hadn't seen any whales hurt by any oil and gas wells in the Permian. So, I just want to give them a shout out.
I guess shout out Greta Thunberg. Sweet.
Hey, she's going after the wind farms. I hope she goes after the wind farms in the ocean.
Next thing you know, she's going to be a derrick hand on an offshore oil rig. We'll get her there. We'll facilitate it.
Okay. Let's get her on a podcast. Okay.
Have fun with that. With that, guys, we're on that fun note, on that note of Stu interviewing Greta Thunberg, we're going to let you get out of here, get back to work, hopefully finish it. We appreciate you guys checking us out. World's greatest website and podcast, energynewsbeat.com. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.